Welcome to the History Show, and today we're going to ask the question why the Black and Tans came to Ireland and what was their lasting impact. And I suppose the best place to start is at the beginning. Explain that the Black and Tans were a force of temporary constables, policemen if you like, recruited by the British government in 1920 to bolster the Royal Irish Constabulary, or the RIC, during the War of Independence from 1919 to 1921. How did they get their name? Well, they were named after the mismatched khaki military and dark RIC uniforms that they wore. For the time, it was rather trendy and interesting, almost like they were just new arrivals from Africa, from the jungles in Africa, where they had been on safari. So the Black and Tans were composed mainly of British World War I veterans. Okay. Now, the decision to send them to Ireland was driven by Britain's urgent need to suppress the growing insurgency led by the Irish Republican Army, the IRA, which had embarked on a campaign of guerrilla warfare aimed at ending British rule for once and for all here in Ireland. But, and there's always a but, by 1920 the situation in Ireland had spiraled into a full-blown conflict, bloodshed on the streets. The IRA were really laying it on heavy against British troops. The RIC, already overstretched and increasingly demoralised, they were just unable to contain the IRA's coordinated ambushes, their assassinations and attacks, even on police barracks. Many Irish constables just resigned. The job was far too dangerous, and they just wanted to get the hell out of there as quickly as possible. And recruitment for the RIC, I was about to say IRA, for the RIC faltered. So, in response, the British government recruited thousands of ex-soldiers in Britain, offering them employment and a sense of purpose, if you like, in post-war society. These recruits, many traumatized by trench warfare, were poorly trained for civilian policing and largely unfamiliar with Irish society or the complexities of the conflict that they were entering. So, very little knowledge to hand, thrown in the deep end, post World War troops, World War One, the Great War, were shipped to Ireland totally ill-advised as to what was actually going on and why. So the Black and Tans arrived in Ireland and they had a mandate to restore order. But their methods quickly became infamous. Lacking discipline and often driven by revenge, they were involved in widespread violence against civilians. They torched homes and businesses, carried out reprisal killings, and instilled terror in rural communities. People were absolutely petrified by the Black and Tans. Events like the burning of Cork City in December 1920, and of course the Croke Park massacre on Bloody Sunday, where 14 civilians were killed during a Gaelic football match. And that fueled national and indeed international outrage, attacks on innocent people living their lives in a normal, natural way, were falling victim to the ruthlessness and the evilness of the Black and Tans. So, naturally, rather than quelling the rebellion, the Black and Tans inflamed Irish resistance. They had actually the opposite effect to their purpose. Their brutal tactics alienated even moderate Irish nationalists and swelled support for Sinn Féin and the IRA. Infuriated civilians wanted these Black and Tans out of the country. So they joined the rebels and the IRA and took up arms against the foreign invaders. Now, the British government's failure to rein in their excesses severely damaged Britain's moral authority, as it were, both domestically and abroad, particularly in the United States. The global press seized on reports of atrocities portraying British rule in Ireland as cruel and illegitimate. The world was watching, and watching very carefully, and reacting, especially in the United States of America. Here in Ireland, the Black and Tans became a symbol of oppression. Their legacy endured far beyond the end of the conflict. Although a truce was declared in July 1921, and the Anglo-Irish Treaty was signed later that year, The deep scars left by the Black and Tans' actions contributed to the bitterness that would erupt in the Irish Civil War from 1922 to 1923. Even today, the name Black and Tans, well, that evokes powerful emotions in Ireland. It's associated with violence, repression, and the darkest days of the independence struggle. So, in essence, the Black and Tans were a short solution, if you like, to a long-term political crisis. And their presence only hardened Irish resolve. Their violent campaign failed miserably, as it happens, to crush the independence movement, and instead helped galvanise support for an Ireland free from British rule. So then, that gives you just a basic outline as to the whys and the wherefores of the most brutal foreign invaders of all to set foot in Ireland, the Black and Tans.
Step into the past and uncover the heart of Ireland. At Emerald Chronicle, we bring you hundreds of captivating documentaries exploring Irish history, myths, legends, and folklore. Our playlists guide you through Ireland's fascinating journey, from prehistoric Ireland, proto-historic and Celtic eras, and the early Christian and Viking periods, to the Anglo-Irish invasion and the lordship of Ireland.
Delve deeper into the Tudor conquest and religious conflicts, the union with Great Britain and the Great Famine, the fight for independence and the divisions of the 20th century, and Ireland's evolution into the 21st century. Best of all, we keep all our documentaries at 15 minutes or less, making it easy to explore Ireland's history, even on a busy day.
Every time you watch, you're supporting the upkeep of our channel. And when you share Emerald Chronicle, you're helping to promote Irish history and culture worldwide. We kindly ask you to like and share, and subscribe to Emerald Chronicle now. Let's keep Ireland's stories alive together.